Are pre-cooked ribs worth buying? My Instacart driver accidentally bought me these pre-cooked ribs instead of fresh ribs, so I immediately threw them in the garbage. But then I thought, I wonder what they actually taste like. I mean, I've always joked that no self-respecting pitmaster would ever buy them, but I've never actually tried them. Maybe it'll be a green eggs and ham moment for me. So to find out, I'm cooking them and putting them head to head with some freshly smoked competition style ribs, and we'll see how the pre-cooked ribs compare, so let's get smoking. Welcome to the Smoke Lab, the show where I do crazy barbecue experiments you would never do at home so you can learn from my trial and error. Pre-cooked ribs. I will not eat them in a boat. I will not eat them with a goat, but maybe I should. Theoretically, they've already been smoked and fully cooked and sauced and put in a bag, so is it really any different than me smoking some fresh ribs and then vac sealing them to reheat on a later date? I do that all the time, so maybe these could actually be good if I just gave them a chance, and that's what I'm gonna do in this video. And to make the taste test a little bit more unbiased, I'm inviting my friend Blair over to sample these ribs compared to my freshly smoked ribs, and he's gonna give his opinion. I am not gonna tell him he is eating pre-cooked ribs. Could ruin our friendship, but we have to do it because it's for science. So for the comp ribs, I'm starting with 10 racks of spare ribs because I'm practicing for Memphis in May, which was months ago by the time this video will be posted, but that's why I'm doing so many racks of ribs in this video. I'm removing them from the vac seal bag, then I wiggle my knife under the membrane to get a finger hold, and finally I tear it off with a paper towel so I have more grip. Next, I'm slicing off the flap meat on one end of the ribs. I'll save this for making rib tips later on. And then I slice the cartilage off the top of the ribs so there's just nice solid bones with no weird cartilage giblies sticking out of them. Now I'm injecting the ribs with Cosmos Q pork injection. I just go in between each bone and I inject it until the meat plumps up. I give it as much injection as it's willing to take, basically. Now I'm seasoning the ribs with my general purpose rub. The backs get a light seasoning and then I flip them over and I do a heavier seasoning on the top. Look at those ribs, very nice. I'm kind of proud of myself already. Now the ribs are going on my Oklahoma Joe's Longhorn offset smoker. When I'm smoking lots of ribs, I prefer horizontal cooling racks instead of vertical ones. Then I flip them around every hour or so they cook more evenly. And 3 hours later, they're temping around 150 degrees Fahrenheit and all of the bark is set, so it's time to wrap. I said a hip, a hop, a hip it to the hop. When you smoke these ribs, I don't stop. Okay, not that kind of wrap. I'm gonna wrap these in foil. God, I'm funny. Okay, I'm wrapping the ribs in foil and adding about a cup of clarified butter. I like clarified butter because it doesn't dissolve the bark and it gives the ribs a nice buttery flavor. Then I'm gonna hold all of these ribs at 150 degrees for the next 18 to 20 hours until the next day. The next day, I'm removing the ribs from the holding device. I'm saucing them up and I'm letting the sauce tack up for a few minutes and then they are done. Moving on to the pre-cooked ribs. They come in a bag with all the sauce and everything already in them. So I'm just whipping them in the holding oven to defrost at 150. You can also use a sous vide machine for this. Then I'm broiling them in my oven to tack up the sauce and giving them a tiny bit of char, and that's it. I'm not doing anything else to them. All right, guys, I'm here with my buddy Blair, who is also a KCBS certified barbecue judge, just like I am. And what's the oath that we took? We have to subjectively and objectively judge all barbecue.
All barbecue, yes.
And like preserve the barbecue way of life. I think that was the oath.
Preserve the barbecue way of life.
Yeah, preserve the barbecue way of life. That's what you're gonna do today. So what we have here, Blair, is two different styles of ribs. Obviously, you can see just by looking at them that they have different sauces on them, but I'm not gonna tell you anything else about them other than that they have different sauces. I'm gonna let you test each one and you can tell me which one you like the best, okay? So go ahead, choose whatever one you want first.
Texture-wise, this is pretty darn near perfect.
Yep.
That bite. Super tender, but flavor-wise, good, but maybe a little bland.
Okay, let's put that one on pause. So like, what did you think of the flavor overall though? Like it didn't hit you as much?
Maybe a little too sweet. Not enough salt. There was an imbalance there. It was really like sweet, like a caramely kind of flavor.
Yeah, so like too sugary, not enough balance. Well, try the other ribs now and let me know what you think of those. I'm gonna try one too, because I haven't tried them yet.
Texture-wise, not as nice as this one. These are also not as meaty ribs. These ones are cooked better. I taste the tomato umami ketchup flavor.
It's very tomatoey. If you were to give these a score, like for tenderness, would this be like an 8 or a 9 or something like that?
Yeah.
And then what about this?
Probably If this was a 9, this would be an 8. Like, they still, like, were tender.
Yeah.
I was able to take a clean bite. They didn't fall off the bone on me.
But it's a thin rib, so.
It's a thin rib.
Yeah.
Like, I think the texture's probably just as nice as this one. I think these ones a better rack of ribs. That's what they taste like. It just tastes like a better cut of ribs or meat than these ones.
Yeah, it appears that they are just based on how thick they are. I'll tell you right now, these are spare ribs and these are baby backs. Usually baby backs are a lot thicker though. A lot of times spare ribs are thicker and have more fat. What about the taste? What would you give that?
Probably an 8. Yeah.
So it's just like if it had a little bit more balance, it would almost be a perfect rib.
Yeah, this one is a little sweet and it needs a little bit more salt or umami. If it had like the same tomato umami savoriness of these ones, I think these ones would be a slam dunk. And these ones, they're good.
Give me your honest opinion. Don't pull any punches.
Not your best.
Okay.
And I'm not super keen on the sauce. It definitely tastes like you just put a bunch of ketchup on there.
Yeah.
That's what it tastes
I
like.
agree. It just tastes like, or like pizza sauce or something.
Yeah.
Okay, so this would probably be like a 7 or a 6 even or something like that. Right?
These are fine. Like, I feel like I've eaten these exact ribs that taste like this
Maybe you have.
before. Not from you, but like from my mom making them in like the crock pot when I was a kid. Like with like ketchup.
Chilies or something. Like,
Yeah. This one has a lot more depth of flavor.
Yeah.
It needs a little bit umami or salt, just a bit.
So just a bit of tweak and that
just
would
to
be
balance out
almost
the
like
sweetness a
perfect,
little bit.
But a good competition rib, and this is like, need to try a little bit harder, get some better quality ribs. The sauce isn't that great. So would you believe me if I told you that these were pre-cooked ribs that I bought from Costco?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they are.
I believe that 100%.
Yeah. But it's funny though, because like if you got these in a barbecue competition and you were judging them,
They totally taste like I ate ribs at like Montana's where I know stuff is pre-frozen.
Yeah, and
or
they're
like
like
Boston pizza or something.
they were like
frozen.
chucked in the oven or something like that.
And reheated.
But they're not like the worst ribs in the world though.
If I went to somebody's house and they like served me those, I would eat the whole rack.
Yeah,
Like,
it's just like if they just improved the sauce a little bit almost, right? Like if they had a better barbecue sauce, then like with maybe even like like if they smoked them a little bit and put some smoke flavor in the sauce.
that, you know what? That would be night and day difference if there was just a little bit of smoke flavor.
Yeah, because
it's really one-dimensional.
Maybe the company that makes this also makes pizzas and they use the same pizza sauce or something.
I like it necessarily pizza sauce, but definitely like ketchup flavor.
Yeah. So the reason I did this is because I wanted to see if pre-cooked ribs were as good as my competition ribs, because there's like a perception out there that pre-cooked ribs are going to be garbage, right? But I don't know. I think like these are passable. Like I was actually a little bit impressed by these. They're not terrible.
You know
for what they are.
I'm much more impressed with them when you said they were pre-cooked than when you made them.
Like literally, I reheated them in the oven and sauced them with the sauce that came with it.
I'm still finishing mine. So
Yeah. Well, thanks, Blair. I appreciate it. So there you have it, guys. If you buy pre-smoked ribs, I don't think that they're actually as terrible as everyone thinks they are. I think they are passable, but you're never going to even come close to the flavor that you get from smoking ribs on an actual smoker and putting a lot of care into it and using a really nice barbecue sauce and knowing what you're doing. So I don't think that comes as a surprise to many of you out there, but what surprised me during this video was that the pre-cooked ribs, actually, they're not that bad, but they don't come close to the smoked ribs. So thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to subscribe to the Oklahoma Joe's YouTube channel, and happy smoking.